Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors. We don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because we're all in this together.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, John. How are we this week? Week Vagillion D7 of Corona Pandemic Quarantine Day, year, month,
Tomorrow, which is Saturday, which is May 1st, in the state of New Jersey, they are opening up the state parks and a couple other things. So it looks like we might be coming out of this a little bit. There's going to be some businesses opening, soft open. They're going to try some different things. And if we all behave and don't try to kill each other, then I think that, we can start to get back to what would be a semi-normal life right now. I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's actually been this past week for me, as I found myself getting back into my routine. Like, it feels like the dust is settling a bit. It's brand new. It's a new routine. It's a new... I hate that I'm sick of all the phrases that people use after only 2 weeks or something, but I'm like, it's a new normal. And I'm already like throwing up in my mouth saying it, but it's true.
It's the new normal.
Yeah. It's like, oh, God, why do people have to like take one phrase and then everybody use it and then it ruins it and it just makes you all sound the same? And it's like, there were so many jokes that first week of the virus and the pandemic really going up. And all the companies from anything you've ever put your email to were emailing you and saying the same things of, in these troubling times. And and there was actually, I'm not going to lie, like, I didn't send out an email to my email list of everything, but there was an email that was like, good email openers for this time so you don't all have to say the same thing. And I was like, oh, thank goodness for this email.
It's been weird because, and I think this is I got to go with this is in my own mind, that my life really didn't change too much except for a few things. I was already basically hunkered in the bunker.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I would have things delivered and I would have my house. I had someone that would come and clean the house every 2 weeks. And the things that I didn't want to do, the things I didn't like to do, the things I wasn't good at doing, I would farm out. Grocery shopping. Like to eat, don't like to shop. Mm-hmm. And that everything was going well. And then this hit. And then it really shouldn't have been enough to really throw me. But then for some reason,
it got unpredictable. You didn't have your Instacart. You didn't have that in your mind that you could just fill up your Instacart and get it the same day anymore. We really had this, we switched from a mentality of I can just run out and get whatever I need. It's not a big deal if I don't have it at home. I can get it easily, to all of a sudden there are 5 steps to going out now and getting whatever it is you need. And you never know how safe you can be. And there's an extra layer of worry to it. So even though, because I thought about that too, our lives really, me and Mark and the kids, like, we, aside from them staying home from school, it really hasn't changed that much. But it threw me for a loop, the same way I saw it threw you for a loop. And
the other thing is that I've always been, we've talked about this. I'm always reactive. I'm always, everything's on fire around me. And I'm just grabbing the one thing that's really, really on fire and just putting it out and then going on to the next fire. And this show is part of it. This show, the editing of this show, it doesn't take that long to do it. And for some reason, when we get done here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, and then I would forget about it. And then it would be like Monday. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to do this. Oh my God. So Monday, I got a message from my old podcasting co-host, Deuce, from the Brand X podcast. He goes, I love listening to the show and it's behind. Is there something going on with Apple? I said, no, not Apple. John. Something's going on with John. So, and I was having a lot of different issues. And I said, you know what? This is ridiculous. I got to do something differently here. So, let's see, today's Thursday when we record. Tuesday, I started looking for a new plan or some way of doing something different. This was not whatever I was doing for as long as I've been doing it, basically my whole life. This isn't really working. And I need to stick to something and make a change and continue to do this until I can make it a habit. And I listen to all the same people that you do, basically, about how to plan your day and how to be more productive. And I never really decided to put it together. And I was looking for a video for something for what I use for my to-do list, which is called ToDoist. Mm-hmm. And I found a guy named Carl, and I like watching his videos. And we'll have links in, because I can't pronounce his last name. It's very easy, but I think it's Pullein. I think his name's Carl Pullein. He has a YouTube channel. It's carlpullein.com. And he is one of those guys that will organize you. And he had this thing that was a system. It's called COD. It's called Collect, Organize, and Do. And, of course, he had a free course. So I think it was Tuesday afternoon. I looked at the free course. I did like 2 lessons. I said, I want to dig in this a little bit more. So Wednesday morning, I woke up and I went through the rest of the course. I said, this is very doable. And basically what you're doing is you're collecting stuff all day, and then you put it in the different places. And then when you sit down, you organize it. But you're always doing. It usually takes you about 15 to 20 minutes to organize, and then you're doing. You're putting out, you're blocking stuff on your calendar. I was always trying to do
planning, and then
planning.
You're reacting.
Always trying. I always think that I can do 2 to 3 times more than I can actually do. Mm-hmm. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, I can get 4 of those 1-hour shows edited today. Sure, I can.
What's funny is our brains, especially with ADHD, we don't take into account a lot of different factors that go into planning. So we will look at a project and say, okay, for the average person, editing this podcast should take 40 minutes. And so in our heads, we think that'll take 40 minutes. And we don't remember, like, oh yeah, it takes me 5 minutes to kind of get warmed up and ready to go. And I have to process. That takes another 25 minutes I didn't think about. Yeah.
Set everything up. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, I cleared the deck. I just said, it starts now, because he also had a 2.0 class, and he had a coupon code for, it cost me like $25 to take this course. Cool. So I was like, okay. And it gives you another free course on how to organize your email, which my email's a wreck. So I get in there yesterday and I started going through this course, and he's like, stop now and go do this. And he said, stop now and go clean out your email. And one of the things he had, especially for email, which I love this, was it was called email bankruptcy. You can either have a hard bankruptcy or soft bankruptcy. But he says, what I want you to do is, if you can't go in and just delete all your emails, what I want you to do is go in and make if it's in Gmail, make a category for old mail and take all your email and put it in there. And so we're going to start fresh with a 0 box. So I did that. And by the end of yesterday, I have 35 emails out of 15,000.
Wow.
I just started, and the first thing I did was, he said, you don't need emails from this date, from a year before. You don't need them. You're never going to find them. You're not going to look for them, whatever. You're just going to, so that's what I did. I went back a year and I just got rid of all those. There was 10,000 of them or more gone. And I went through this whole thing. And he also has it where you plan in when you're going to eat, and you block it on your calendar, and you just look and follow. And here's the thing. I am not really much of a self-starter. I need somebody to kind of push me, tell me, John, you need to get this done by this time. Hey, are you doing this? Hey, John, why are you on your phone? Hey, John, So what now is, my calendar is basically driving what I do. My calendar is the boss. If it's on the calendar, it gets done. Mm-hmm. So, and then I know that it takes 3 hours to do an edit and out. By the time you process and everything, it takes 3 hours to edit an hour show. Mm-hmm. So I can't do 3 shows a day. 4 shows. I could do 3, but that's all day. That's nothing else. That's not doing wash. That's not getting food. That's not eating. That's not doing anything else. So when I started blocking this, I was like, well, no wonder I can't get things. No, I'm way overbooking myself. So the first thing I want to do is apologize to our listeners, because this is my fault. I got everything backed up. I did this. Emily is way ahead of me in the organizational department.
But I also, you sent me a file. I think we put out Hate to Wait episode number 92 the other day, and you sent that to me a week ago. So it wasn't just you. We were all scatterbrained, and that one just kept building up.
Well,
and
I started the avalanche.
Well, you didn't start. It doesn't matter who started it. We're fixing it now.
All right, yeah,
we got to get out of this blame game because this brings us down.
Yeah, the reason I say that is because you got the episode for last week last night at 11 o'clock because I put on my calendar that this has to be done today. And I recorded, I shake my head with Lisa and Sam. That was 1 o'clock in the morning when you got that because I said, it's got to be done before I go to bed. So we recorded them and I said, I got to stay up and finish the show, which I did. And then this morning I had everything blocked out. And I got to tell you, it's been 24 hours and it just feels so much better. I don't have that pressure in my chest. And since I don't have that pressure in my chest, I'm not hungry and I'm not being driven to eat. Mm-hmm. So, when the clock goes off to go get something, I already have my day's meals planned out. I already know what I'm eating for these 3 meals. And I also know what I'm eating tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes. And this is the new normal.
Yeah.
But this is my new normal, not because of the COVID-19, but this has to be my new normal because I can't handle the anxiety and the pressure that I put on myself because I'm a procrastinator. Mm-hmm. And what I do is and my father was the same way. And he would always say, I work best under pressure. I do.
Yeah,
I work best under pressure.
Yeah.
But that pressure is just ridiculous. It gets ridiculous. You're staying up. Sometimes you make mistakes. Yeah, you can do it. I can get in there and dig. But it's funny. I can dig doing editing and stuff like that, but I can't physically do before. Like before, I used to hustle. When I was working on elevators or something, I would always hustle. I'd run to the truck, I'd get in the truck, I'd drive somewhere, run to where I had to. Remember, that's not happening anymore. I can't do that kind of thing. John's not running anywhere. John's limping slowly anywhere John has to go. If John's got to go downstairs, John's limping downstairs. John's limping back upstairs. John's taking the clothes basket and throwing it up to the next landing. He's like a shot put, and he gets to the top and he throws it up to the next landing like a shot put. He just doesn't grab it and run up the steps and run down the steps like he used to. That all takes time, and I've never incorporated the slowing down into this. You
know how, as a dieter, a lot of us tried an app like MyFitnessPal where we got really granular with counting our calories? Mm-hmm. Many of us have done this. I did that a few years ago. Well, actually, starting out organizing myself, I started doing that with my time too. I started trying to figure out every single minute and really give myself a gauge of how long does this actually take. I could put this on my calendar to check my email, and on my checklist every day, it'll say email. And in my head, I have no idea if that will take 10 minutes or it will take an hour because you don't know what comes into that email. And so there are things like that after so long of planning, I know I can't just write email on my list. I have to actually formulate a plan to tackle my email, like put something in like I need to act on this specific email or something like I have emails. I'm actually really good with emails. I try to do inbox zero as much as possible. And I use an app called Boomerang where if I get an email, and my tendency is to save it until I need it. And so then my email gets backed up and I never think to check it again. So Boomerang, for anybody who doesn't know, you can actually click a little button that says Boomerang and it will send you that email maybe the day before you actually need it. So I use this a lot with tickets to events, like tickets that they email you and you don't need that ticket 4 months in advance and you're not always going to remember to look for it. So things like that have helped me. But I like in your system that you were talking about, the COD, that first part, that block of collect, that's a huge part. That was really what changed me over to really loving having a plan and a routine, was knowing that whatever popped into my head, because stuff pops into my head all day long and it's really hard for me to focus on what I want to put my attention on, especially if that new idea is like bright and shiny and, ooh, I've never done this before. But actually that collect part was a huge deal because it meant, okay, if I have an idea or if I think of something I have to do or something comes into my email, where do I put that so that I can get to it when I can actually work on it, not while I'm doing what it is I'm trying to focus on and get it away. So that collect part, I'm assuming that's kind of what that is just having knowing where you're going to put all those ideas and all those tasks and projects.
Absolutely. So I have 3 tools in my toolbox for this thing. It is my calendar, which is a Google Calendar. It is ToDoist, which is my to-do list, and it is Evernote for where I put all my, where I collect all my stuff, whatever it is, where my note taking and all that kind of stuff. It's in there. And so I went in yesterday. That's the other thing. I went in yesterday, and Evernote was a hot mess. It was like it was like if you go into your walk-in closet and you just keep throwing things in. I'll get to this later. I'll get to this later.
Every time I've used something like Evernote, it becomes a junk drawer. Like I can't.
So
it's really hard for me to use something like that.
So then he gave me like different things to. Different files to use. And it's so simple. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of this before? It's work stuff, personal stuff, and I have another thing in there for podcast stuff. And, they're my 3 notebooks. So then I just went in and I started tacking my email. And the reason I say this, and I'm going to bring it back, people. I know, I don't want to bore you with my thing. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to minimize my tools. Okay, so I'm trying to minimize my tools and get things to set up so I can do them more effectively and quicker. And this is what I did yesterday as far as eating. I have a cutting board and a knife that I use for chopping everything. So when the produce comes in, I wash, I put it in the refrigerator. And then it sits there until it goes bad, and I take it and throw it in the trash. That doesn't happen now. So when it came in, I had peppers, and I had onions, and I had mushrooms and all. So what I did was I came in, and I immediately... When I washed everything, I put it in there. So yesterday, I had an hour. I said, I want to see how much I can get done in an hour. Cutting board came out, knife came out, everything came out, chop, 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 chop. Put the trash can right next to me so I'm not moving things right into the trash can. Brought everything closer to me. Within an hour, I had everything chopped, everything in Tupperware containers, everything back in there. So when I get off of here today... little spinach, little mushrooms, little peppers, little onions. Get that all cooked down. Pour 4, 5, 6 eggs in there. Mix that all up. Get it all happy. Put it right in the oven. And make myself one of those frittatas. And that's for 4 breakfasts. And that breakfasts. It's my South Jersey breakfasts. How many S's in breakfast?
I used to say it as breakfast. And my mom didn't correct me until I was 14. And even then, it took like kids making fun of me in middle school for me to realize. So thanks for that, Mom. Yeah. She thought I was cute. So she did. Yeah,
sure. Same thing with my kids. We still call the refrigerator a frigidator because my daughter used to call it the frigidator. And again, this is only day 3. Next week I could say, that didn't work at all. I'm digging in. I woke up this morning. I went through my inbox. There was like 5 or 6. And it's like, bing, 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 bing. And they were all done.
Yeah.
And I won't go back to my email again until later on today.
Oh, that's the other nice thing is I had to get an email system in place, so I only had to check it once or twice.
The first thing they tell you is turn off all your notifications. Okay, now this works for me, and it might not work for you. And again, the one thing is he says you find a system that works for you. If you're someone that works from home, that is a customer service, you can't turn off your email notifications. You have to see them, all right?
Right.
I don't. Nothing's going to happen that immediately I need to see. The other thing I did was I turned my notifications off on my phone.
Nice.
Because I don't need that thing dinging every 5 seconds. When I get done, so when I block out time to do editing, I also blocked in breaks. Here's a 15-minute break. I break, I grab my phone, I'll go get something to drink, and then I'll look to see if anybody sent me a text or somebody called. I turned my phone, like, you can't get a hold of me when I'm editing. For those 3 hours when I'm editing, I'm locked in. You can't get a hold of me. This whole being reactive instead of proactive, or being, instead of planning my day, having my day plan me, I can't take it anymore. It has ruined a lot of things in my life, and just the fact that I needed to get my hands around this thing, and I do believe in a higher power. Some people say it's your invisible sky buddy or God or, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. Sometimes he's like, John, you've suffered enough here. Do it. See this? Do what this guy does. And basically my whole life I've done that. Whenever I've found somebody that I really thought knew what they were doing, and I would copy and do what they did. Podcasting, Cliff Ravenscliffe, craft. I saw what he was doing. I liked his system. I went in there and learned how to podcast. That showed me Dave Jackson. Dave Jackson's taught me things. Daniel J. Lewis has taught me things. I need to find someone who's done what is done better than me. Find out what they're doing and just follow it. Mm-hmm. So that's been my week.
That's good. I'm glad you're getting into it. I'm glad you have
I'm sure you're going to have to tweak it. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to have to tweak it, and I'm going to have to continue to do it. Yeah. I'm just going to have to keep force myself to do it until it becomes a habit. That's what he said. Everybody has a routine.
Yeah.
And until your routine becomes a habit, you got to keep working it.
Once again, you and I are on the same page. I'm not necessarily doing organizing things, but I have noticed that getting back into my routine that I knew was working before, once the dust settled and everything. I also knew this week that I needed to get more mindful about my eating because I was doing a lot of comfort eating and kind of just bored eating. Because my son now, he doesn't take afternoon naps anymore. And I used to, a few times a week, take him for a drive around and listen to podcasts. I didn't realize I actually do need that 2-hour break from eating. And maybe that's why I was so successful for so long, and now I've been plateauing ever since he stopped his naps. And I've noticed that I find my way to the kitchen a lot more during that time, and I've been comfort snacking, and it's absolutely comfort snacking too, because I started asking myself this week, why are we back in the kitchen? Are we actually hungry? No. We just want a food hug.
We want a food hug.
We just want a food hug. That's me and my stomach.
That's exactly it. We want a food hug.
I just want a food hug. So now when I'm asking myself why am I eating? I have to say, okay, if it's for comfort, what exactly do I want out of something that I'm eating? Or what kind of comfort am I really looking for? Because I noticed there are times when I get really angry and anxious and I want something a little bit more crunchy or with a little bit more bite to it. And then when I want that food hug, it's always the soft carbs, cheese, comfort food. So I had to substitute.
It's really weird. When we get done here from the show, we talk, and then we really don't interact. Maybe a text or so during the week, we don't talk. And it is so funny that how many times we come in and we're struggling with the same thing through the week.
Yeah.
It's like we're struggling through the same thing, but we're struggling from a distance. In other words, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. I'm watching a goose almost get hit by a car over here.
I know. I really need you to update more about these geese. That was a new thing that I'm oh, John, now I want to know about these geese. I want daily updates on the geese. This is how boring my life is. I get excited when the mail person comes every day now, a human.
So there's a window right in front of me when I'm doing the show, and I see these geese. And the reason I notice this is because I see the cars slowing down or whatever, and the geese they keep walking back and forth across the road. And it's now become my reality TV.
Yeah.
Okay? Because now one's made it across, and the other one's got to go. And the other one's now... Because earlier today, the one almost got clipped by a truck that wasn't having any of it. Didn't care that the goose was walking across the road. So now that goose seems to be a little bit more timid. The goose learned a life lesson. Just don't walk out, because a lot of times the cars will stop and let the geese walk across. Mm-hmm. And some people just slow down and beep. Well, today this truck come by and he wasn't having any of it. And the only reason the goose is still alive is because the goose was faster than the truck.
Now, if that truck or any other car hits that goose, are you going to go out and then cook it?
I might.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were talking about roadkill last week.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I've eaten roadkill before. I've eaten many a roadkill deer, pheasant. Nothing smaller than that, though. But I don't know. A good fresh goose, maybe. Instapot roadkill.
Don't get too emotionally attached. Then, if you're watching them as a reality show, don't give them names. As soon as you give them names, you won't be able to eat them.
Well, they get because they also squawk too when someone pushes them too much. They turn and squawk at them. I'm like, hey, that's a little bit too much attitude for you. You're out in the street.
Geese are
They're
mean.
bigger than you.
Geese are mean.
They are mean. That's true too. I've never been attacked by one, but I've seen people that have been attacked.
Of all the creatures from Canada, the geese are the meanest. Because the people, very nice.
I always say to Sam, your geese are here. So anyhow, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
that's okay. I like the geese updates. But then another thing I did today or this week was I decided to add more veggies to what I was eating because I think with the comfort food, I was really packing on the calories and I wanted that extra chewing. And I posted a meme I saw in the group, I think before last week's recording. So that was maybe the third week of April, I posted a meme, and it was this Japanese word that means you're not really hungry, but your food is lonely, or your mouth is lonely. And that's really what I was feeling like. My mouth needed a hug, a food hug. One of the things that we talk about on this show a lot is how I like the idea of adding instead of taking away and punishing. So when I saw my weight go up last week, I was like, okay, what are we doing? Now we have to assess. Now that we've seen the damage, we have to assess. And so I assessed and I got back into my routine because I knew that my routine worked. So I'm doing my morning pages every day again. I was kind of slacking off on them for a bit because it was like nobody knew what was going on. And there were some days where I just had nothing pressing to do. And I was just so exhausted that I'm like, why am I even going to write a list? I'm just going to take this day off. Mental health day. Mm-hmm. But now I have my list again, my daily list. I have to be productive every day. I don't like days of doing nothing. I have to do at least one thing and it doesn't have to be work. It just has to be like a project, something creative, some sort of outlet. So got back to that routine, got more mindful. I'm asking why I want to eat. I'm doing more mindful eating. So instead of just randomly grabbing whatever candy we have on top of the fridge, and I think that's going to be the candy on top of the fridge. If I don't have it, I'm really sad. But when I do have it, I don't always eat it as much as I think I'm going to eat it. So I now play this game with the bag of candy we have up there so I don't eat as much and I'm more mindful about eating it. So we have this 10-pound bag of Hershey chocolates. And they're the 4 different varieties with the regular Hershey, the Special Dark, the Mr. Good Bar, and Crackle.
Oh, first thing I do is I go through, I get all the Crackle.
That's the thing. Everybody in our house kind of has their own favorite, and I go for the Special Dark. My husband loves the Mr. Good Bar. The kids don't care. The kids just like chocolate. But what I do now so that I don't eat a crazy amount is I can't necessarily see inside the bag. The bag is just kind of open on top of the fridge. So I reach my hand in, I grab a handful, and if there happens to be a Special Dark in that handful, I pick it out and I put the rest back.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah,
See, I wouldn't be able
I
to do
just
that.
eat the candy bar that I like. Now, the Special Dark
2 or 3 Special Darks?
What?
What if there's 2 or 3 Special Darks?
You know what? It's a pretty evenly spaced bag. And also, if there aren't as many Special Darks, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Okay.
So I do that so that I stopped just mindlessly reaching my hand in and grabbing a bunch of chocolates and not really caring. I don't even like Crackle that much. I don't even like plain Hershey's bar that much. Mr. Good Bar, pretty good. But my husband kind of already has claim on that. So I try to put those back for him. Now, though, we're low on the Mr. Good Bar and we're low on the Special Dark. And now I stick my hand in. It's just, John, you would love it. It's just a bunch of Crackle.
It's heaven.
And Hershey bars. So I'm trying to like dole them out more to the kids so that I have more of a chance to get a Special Dark. But that seems to be, I don't know, I need to gamify stuff for myself so I don't go overboard and mindlessly eat it because I still have those tendencies, those very polarizing tendencies of I either sit down with this 10-pound bag of candy and just eat it and not care and just, let myself go into a trance and just keep eating until I feel sick. Or I don't have it at all and I feel deprived and no, I'm not allowed to have it. No, this just gives me a little bit of a game and then I can have my chocolate. And then the third thing is not punishing myself or subtracting anything. Like, I guess I'm subtracting some of the chocolate, but not all of it. And the thing I'm adding is I'm trying to get veggies 2 times a day, and I'm trying to get creative with it. Like, I really hate cooking, but my husband's usually pretty good about figuring out what meat he wants or what main dish he wants, and it's usually pretty simple. But I need to get better with veggies and making side dishes. And I love side dishes. In fact, my dream day, I found this out on my birthday, is all my food are sides and appetizers and desserts. Like main dishes bore me so much, but give me the appetizers, let me fill up on all those things. As long as I can make them so that they're veggies, I'll be fine.
You're right. That's the same thing with me. Cooking takes too long. Usually by the time I'm ready to cook, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And then it's the cleaning.
Yep.
It's the cooking and the cleaning. So I've really carved up this week because this week, instead of eating eggs and eggs and meat and everything this week was cereal and bread and toast and lunch meat. It was you know what? I didn't feel as good.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I do really notice the quality of food I eat really impacts how I feel and my energy levels, especially through the day. I mean, when I was eating more chocolate and more candy during the day, I would get out of my eating window and just have maybe half the energy I used to have. Ugh.
And then Sunday, it was so nice here. I went out for the day and everything was fast food because I was out all day. I went out for a ride. I took a ride, just drove around and went places just to get out and have, the window open and air blowing in. And I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner out on Sunday. And, I paid the price this week, to be quite honest with you. So that when I got on the scale, I got on the scale Tuesday, and I was like, this is no good.
Yeah, I did that Monday. I didn't like that number very much, and I was already up last week, and then I got on the scale Monday, and I was up again, and I was like, oh, okay. Right. We got to get serious.
Yeah, this is where I think this is where in the past I would have just thrown my hands up in the air and just said screw it. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what really took me down this road of getting organized, because everything is not like, in other words, a bowl of cereal is not a bowl of cereal. A bowl of cereal is how much cereal you can put in a bowl until the milk's gone. And that's a lot. So,
and then if you have too much milk without enough cereal, you have to add more cereal. And then if you have too much cereal, then you have to add more milk. And then you're going to find yourself with more milk at the end, so you add more cereal. Yeah, I've had one of those never-ending bowls of cereal and milk before. And it only stops until you run out of either milk or cereal.
Mm-hmm. And then at least with eggs, you cook them and you're done. I think at first, for me, it was a panic situation, an anxiety situation. And I believe now that I can use common sense, and there are ways that I can insulate myself from this. I'm not saying 100%. I don't know. You can't always say 100%. But I think we used to call it a job hazard analysis. So I think there's a way of analyzing the hazard and putting in protection to keep. So in other words, I'm not going to the store with no mask on. Okay. Right. I'm not going to be going to any clubs. I'm not playing in any live poker games. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm basically going to stay the way I normally did. Okay. But when I do go out, there's going to be, what do we call it? There's going to be things that are going to be implemented, wiping off the groceries, putting everything away, doing stuff like that. So I've come to the grips where I think I can not catch this. I just jinxed myself. Where's all the wood? Knocking on all the wood in my house. And I think I can get back to living my life. Other people are going out, as other people go out, I think they're finding some drugs right now that seem to be working on treating, okay, even if they don't have a vaccine. So hopefully that'll start working now. And I think that we might have, again, my opinion, I think we might have overreacted, but I understand why we did. And I think that if we put some of these protective things like wearing a mask, I put a thing on my Facebook page today for the people that don't want to wear a mask. Let me try to explain this to you. If we're both naked and someone pees, you're going to get pee on you. If the one guy's naked and you have pants on and they pee, yes, you're going to have some pee on your pants and it's going to stop it, but sooner or later it's going to slow down, but you're going to get pee on you. If he has pants on and you have pants on, he pees. He just pees on himself, and you don't get any pee on you. And that's basically as basic as I can break it down.
It is very basic because one of the first times I saw somebody going out with a mask, I was at a gas station, I was getting gas, and the person left the actual inside the gas station and they were wearing a mask and they removed the mask to sneeze. And I was like,
Did you give it to...
but no. Like, what?
What? Do you... Come here. No, stay there. Let me yell at you.
I'm just sitting there pumping gas like, did I really just see that? Is this really the world that we live in? Because I see memes, and I never believe it's actually true until I see something like that in real life.
Well, I mean, if they pick the mask up and sneeze into their arms, I understand not want to sneeze in your mask.
He was outside. Like, he had just walked outside. He was walking the sidewalk to his car. And the thing is, nobody was there. Like, but it was just that sense of, oh my God, he took off his mask and like, droplets are going who knows where, and I'm probably 30-40 feet away from him, but still like not like I didn't breathe. I stopped breathing when I saw him do that, and I held my breath until I finished pumping gas and until I got back into my car. Like, we all do stupid things. But
I always said that if right now when we would breathe out, that if the air that we breathe out would be like a cloud of pink. Mm-hmm. All right. And you could see it and dodge it. This virus would go away really quick. Like, we could die. Because what I was watching guys jogging yesterday when I was out for my ride on Sunday, guys jogging. So someone's walking. So the guy takes and makes a big circle around this guy. So he stays like 10, 12 feet away from him. Big circle. Mm-hmm. A lot of social distance. And then jogs in front of him with no mask on.
Yeah.
And this guy has no mask, and he's walking behind this guy. And all I can think in my mind is the guy that's jogging is breathing heavy, and and that's all going in the air. And this guy's walking right behind it.
Yeah.
Or if our breath smelled like bad farts, as soon as you smelled it, you know to go the other way.
You know what? And I'm thinking of back when I was a smoker. And actually, when I was more of a vapor, I didn't really smoke inside. By the time I was smoking inside was on its way out. Like, restaurants were just getting to the point where there weren't any more smoking or non-smoking sections. And then when I was vaping and I was able to vape inside, we would sit there, my friend and I, who also vaped, we would sit in my living room and we would watch as we would blow out this vapor. This is all stuff that was in our mouths. And we would watch it go out into the air, and we'd watch it waft through the sunbeams and leave beautiful designs. But the thing is, it would go everywhere, and we could see it. It didn't gross us out then. It didn't occur to me other than, vapor is so pretty. It didn't occur to me, oh my God, all this stuff has been in our mouths, and now it's just floating in the, like, taking up a lot of space, too. A lot more space than you would think, because we think our mouth is just the air is in our cheeks or whatever, not thinking that our lungs contain all this stuff. Oh my gosh, I just thought about that now, and just the smoke swirling around and just, no. Wear your masks, people.
So, yeah, I think in the next couple months,
I don't know if it's the same. I don't want letters. Sorry. We're not doctors.
Yeah, we're not doctors. This is our personal hell that we're talking about right now.
We're toward the end. We're kind of...
this is our own personal hell that goes through our minds and stuff like that. Okay, so we're not telling you not to. You do you, boo. That's what we say. We've always said that on this show.
Away from me.
Yeah, unless you're. Yeah, I always said, just carry a cattle prod, and if they get too close, you just give them a little zap.
Getting close to me anyway. I feel like this should just be all the time. Like when we have tomato shortages and all of a sudden people have to ask for tomatoes on their sandwich. This should be all the time, just like that, where it's like, you have to ask to get close to me. You have to ask to get within 6 feet of me. How about that? Not just assume everybody wants a tomato on their sandwich or everybody wants you in their bubble. Let's get rid of that. Okay, that's my declaration for this episode. No tomatoes. Right. No tomatoes as a default. And stay 6 feet away from me as a default. That's the new normal.
All right, so is that it for your week?
That's it for my week, yeah.
Okay, let's get into some Winning Wednesdays.
Woohoo.
Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday.
My goodness, people, you certainly did deliver this week.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Dana says, lost 4 pounds.
Hooray.
And she's got a child in there doing a dance, which is fantastic. I like that.
Ingrid, I lost track of things and gained weight, but took control and I'm back on track. Note, I only gained 1 pound, so that is a victory.
Turn it around as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I say the same thing. Jennifer says, finish the 100-mile challenge a day early. I can tell I have more leg muscles, but the scale did not move as much as I hoped this month. I think May's challenge should be centered around cleaning up my diet. Again, I think sometimes when you take and you change and you build muscle, it's going to weigh more. So I think in a situation like that, Jennifer, I think you got to get the tape measure out and like measure, and then the way your clothes feel.
Yeah.
Because it's not all about the scale.
A huge difference. It really does.
Yeah.
Sarah says she lost 1.5 pounds since Monday and 2 pounds away from 10 for the month.
Michelle says, I joined the Get Healthy You program last week, and I have stuck with the workout calendar every day so far. Also sticking with intermittent fasting, trying to come out of this pandemic a little healthier than when it started.
Monica says 5 days straight of exercise and eating pretty clean. That's great.
And Rochelle says, I've been doing a great job of resting, really relishing those rest days and rest weeks.
Teresa says, block 2 of P90X, and it is humbling. I have learned that I can do exactly 0 one-armed push-ups, and I can stay in crow pose for exactly 2 seconds. The win is that I have found other things other than the number on the scale to work on. That's great.
I had a friend that was really into the P90X. This was a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And, again, what she said was that even the person that does that, I don't know who it is, would say, listen, just do what you can and keep doing it. And the more that you do, the more that you can do.
Yeah.
So, Teresa, if you keep sticking with it, pretty soon you'll be in crow pose for a lot longer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the crow pose is. Is that with your hands behind your back and your nose sticking out? I don't know.
You know what? I don't actually know.
Or is it the Daniel from the Karate King?
I know.
thing?
I always think the crane when she says that.
Yeah.
It's not the crane.
Yeah,
it's
the crow.
pose. So the crow pose. Oh, that is the yoga move where your hands are on the mat and you're actually putting your knees on top of your elbows and sort of balancing.
Oh.
Yeah, balancing like that. I've never tried that, actually. And here's the thing, because I do yoga every day. It's very rare that I try a new pose I've never done before, especially right now, because I don't want to hurt myself and have to go to a doctor. So
Right.
I've actually been taking it a lot easier with yoga the past few weeks than I normally do. Like, I really try to push myself. And now I'm like, just don't get injured. Just let's just do the bare minimum so that we don't get injured and we can strengthen ourselves.
How'd you break your nose? Doing the crow pose.
I know. You know what? All of my sports-related injuries in my life, and I say all, there's only one, happened while I did yoga. And that was getting a concussion.
Concussion from that?
Yeah.
Oh,
my only sports-related injury.
No, I've torn up some things.
And in fact, you know what? All these challenges and stuff, I've been thinking about this because one of the things I do with yoga is I'll do a plank a little bit longer. I try to do a plank as long as I can and then stretch it out a little bit longer. And I was thinking of doing a plank challenge in the group. So anybody who's interested in a maybe week-long plank challenge where we all just we pick a time, I'll go live with my planking and we can all try to plank as long as we can. Guys, let me know if you like that idea.
I'll root you on.
Yep, you'll watch from a distance and clap.
I don't know if I could plank, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, so you know what time it is.
Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
I'm going to add one more thing to the Winning Wednesdays because we skipped one.
We did?
Yeah.
Where did we skip
well,
it?
Teresa had another one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Teresa also said the Bob Ross Chia Pet is growing a nice basil fro. So she has a Bob Ross Chia Pet. I watched her grow the chia on it and it got moldy after a while, as all Chia Pets do. And now she's growing basil. So that's cool.
That's interesting. I was thinking about making a garden with this year with just the I always call them herbs, and everybody yells at me because I know they're herbs, but I would like basil and parsley and mint and something like that. Just have them grow.
Sage, rosemary, thyme.
Rosemary. Yeah, all that stuff. All those,
Scarborough
all the
Fair.
herbs. I'm sorry. It cracks me up. That's why I say it.
I
You know
know.
me. But yeah, just want to grow a bunch of herbs. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Ooh, I forgot to tell you. You know how the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, is that what they call the Thunderbirds? Whatever they're called. The Army and the Navies, they did the flyover from New York all the way down to here. Mm-hmm. They flew right over the house here. They came right over, right from the window. They went right across the whole field. It was amazing. They were, by the time I got my camera out, they were gone. Like I heard them. I saw them. Their little dots and gone.
Wow.
But that was pretty cool to see them come over. That was pretty all in formation. They did that they went all over New York and right down the Delaware River and then all over Philadelphia and then came right over here and then went down to Delaware.
Wow.
So that was pretty impressive. And that was just the other day. I was out that day. What was that, Tuesday? I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Tuesday. They're supposed to be out at 2:00. So I was out. That's how I started getting into videos because I was waiting for him and I was watching videos for the to-do list. And that's when he said, I got this course. And I said, let me check that out. And that's when Wednesday I just locked everything down. So yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Cool.
There we go. All right.
Well, let's do our weigh-in.
Okay.
This week, I am down a pound, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I thought you were going to. Okay. So
No,
this
I'm not
week.
going to go anymore. Again, I'm okay taking it slow and not losing, because I think, let myself get into a comfort tailspin a bit. And I kept saying to my husband, I'm like, I'm just killing time until the dust settles. So the fact that I'm losing again makes me happy, even just a little bit.
Yeah. So today I got on a scale. I'm up 5 from last week. So I'm really mad. I'm mad that I didn't rein this in more. I try not to get on the scale because I don't want the scale to make me do things like stop eating. I'm not going to eat today because I don't want to do that. I stopped doing that. So, but I did get on the scale the other day, and I gained another 1.5 pounds from just the other day. And I'm not 100% sure why that is, but anyhow, hopefully with this new lifestyle, I'm going to call it a lifestyle. Once these routines turn into habits, that I'll be able to get back on track with everything because it's also very goal based. So in other words, one of my things he says you want to set 3 goals for the year, 3 goals, and one of my goals was to be down, by the end of the year, to be down at least 50 pounds. Okay, from today, yesterday. So then I jumped on the scale. And I was like, oof. So then that was my goal was to be down 50 pounds. And then he says, okay, well, now what steps are you going to do this? And I was like, okay. He says, now take those steps and put them into your calendar and schedule time for them. Because if you don't schedule them, you won't do them. And if it's on the calendar, it gets done.
Yeah.
So if I put, half an hour to prep meals, that means for half an hour I have to go prep meals. Because if not, then the calendar's sacred. If you put it on your calendar, it gets done. If you schedule the exercise, it gets done. If you don't, if it's on your to-do list, it doesn't get done. You can always push it off. If it's on the calendar, it gets done. So there we go. And there goes my alarm.
I also have something that pops up now that says, congratulations, it's time to eat. And I think by next week, we'll probably be talking about that. So little hint for you out there.
Yes. And that was another thing because there was an email that I couldn't find and I think I deleted it by accident. And if I wouldn't have done that, I would have had everything. So that, like I said, there was I just finally just said enough is enough and sat down and said, this has to change. This all has to change. It might have been what I call my come to Jesus moment where it's just like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take the way that I'm living. I can't take the way my life is running right now. I got to change something because I'm sick and tired of being led around. All righty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to join the Facebook group with all the funny memes and all the good stuff, and really just a very supportive community, we'd love to have you. HateToWait.com/Facebook.
And in fact, you know what? I'm going to start, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. I thought of this at 12:30 at night. I'm going to start putting the links to these live recordings in our show notes. So if you guys want to watch us live, if you're listening to the audio version of this and want to watch the live video, go into your podcast app and click on that link, and it will take you to the Hate to Wait discussion group so you can see exactly what we look like while recording this.
But we'll do it if you're not a member.
It will take you and it will prompt you to become a member if you would like.
Ooh, that I like.
Yeah.
I like that very much. There we go. All right, everyone. We'll be back here next week, and John needs a win.
Later, waiters.